So obviously we had a very fun and exciting Super Regionals to watch this last weekend. So we decided to put out and ask people what their thoughts were, any hot takes, any questions that they had, and figured we'd just do a quick little Supers recap video. Before we get into what other people commented, we figured we'd just recap our thoughts on the weekend and some big takeaways. I think the first one being anybody can win. It's the same game as softball we've always been playing. It's anybody's game. I think the second one being you need to have a strong defense to get to the World Series. If your defense is not on point, if you're making errors, whether it's mental or physical, that shows up at the end of the game. And usually you're the one being sent home.
Like the old saying goes, defense wins championships.
Another thing, too, is celebrating your teammates goes a long way. And I don't think that these athletes should be getting dogged on for celebrating. I don't think OU should be dogged on for celebrating. Anyways, but celebrating your teammates, that kind of leads into how momentum can completely change a game. So if you're celebrating, if you're getting hyped, I'm a firm believer that the person that wins the game is the person that holds momentum for the longest. Momentum is a very hard thing to stop. And I think you kind of see that in these games where, high stakes, high pressure, a lot of fun, a lot of adrenaline. Those teams that are just rolling because they have the momentum are the ones that are going to the World Series.
Yeah, and once you lose that momentum, it's really hard to get back. It's really hard.
Or like the longer the amount of time. If the momentum's kind of going back and forth, it's like, okay, the person that grabs it and keeps it, like usually is the one that's taking it away. So,
yeah, I think it's also important to note that a single player, no matter how phenomenal they are, cannot carry a team. And, we saw that this weekend, like the team wins. It has to be all 9 players, really all 20, because everybody has a role. It's not even just the starters, but you definitely cannot win with one player. It doesn't matter how good they are.
Mm-hmm. Now kind of transitioning into the opinion part of the video, kind of going off of that, something which some people have also mentioned, but the announcers for these games, like the Nebraska versus Tennessee game today, this is, my opinion. I'm sharing mine before we get into everybody else's, I guess. But they're constantly, the amount of times that they said it's Pickens versus Ball, instead of it's Tennessee versus Nebraska, they kept saying, I understand pitchers duels are a thing. I understand that. Like when it's like, okay, you got these 2 top pitchers that are competing against each other. It's not just them competing against each other. They have a whole freaking team behind them. So I understand if you want to, it's a pitcher's duel, but you don't say that before the game. Usually it's like in the game when it's like the 5th inning, you have a tie ball game. It's a pitcher's duel. That's when you say it's a pitcher's duel, not before the game, not the entire freaking game. It just pisses me off that they kept saying that. And I'm like, I understand you want this title, this like whatever, but I'm like, say it like it is. It is Tennessee versus Nebraska. It is not Pickens versus Ball. And, it kind of ended up turning into a pitcher's duel, but saying it from the get-go, I understand like these are very good pitchers, but it's just so irritating because one pitcher isn't the entire team. Like you kind of just said, like it's not, who's scoring the runs? It's not the pitcher. Well, Jordy might, do that. Like she hits too. He's a go. But I just wanted to get that. That's kind of going to roll us into the hot takes from the weekend. Okay. The first comment that we got was that no team should be underestimated.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Like you made it to postseason.
Yep.
Crazy things happen in postseason. Some teams struggle throughout the year and then peak at the end and they'll make it all the way. Mm-hmm. It happened. It'll happen again. And like when you're hot, you're hot.
Yep. And Coach Gasso would always also say like there's 3 parts of a season. Preseason, okay, you close the book, you're moving on. Now we're in conference. Okay, that's done. That book is gone. Now we're in postseason. Like this is like you win or you go home, basically. So it's completely different. So definitely agree with that statement because people be showing up in postseason. It's a thing. This is a question. Besides Texas A&M, who's been the biggest upset so far?
I think Arkansas.
I think I'm gonna go with Arkansas too. Because all respect, again, you can't underestimate anybody. Ole Miss is a scrappy team. Like they've always been a very scrappy team.
And LSU.
Oh yeah, if we're going back to regionals, that I was shocked.
Even see them in the supers.
Yeah.
And Duke.
It's always sad at like the end, like the season when you see, because it's like you're ending people's seasons or even like softball careers. Like a lot of these seniors like that, it's sad, but
it is
how it
a
is.
very, I mean, it's heartbreak.
Yeah.
When you don't make it all the way, when you know you're good enough to make it all the way and you don't, and then you have to, and then your college career is over, that is an awful feeling.
Yeah. And I never like you see it on TV, like I'm watching on TV and it's like they show the team celebrating and then they pan over to people like crying or, just like in shock. And I'm like, oh, next. Someone said Pickens breaking a bat because she pitches so fast is crazy. Did you see that? Oh, okay, let's just say she broke her own record.
79.4. That is absolutely insane.
Yes.
And I'm sure much more likely to break a bat when you throw that hard. But yeah. I didn't throw hard and I broke plenty of bats.
I don't know if it was her speed that broke the bat, but like on another note, 79.4 miles an hour is insane.
Yeah.
You round up, that's 80 miles an hour.
I hope she hits it. Yeah. I hope she hits 80.
That would be sick. She'd just be slinging it in there.
Yukiko Ueno from Japan, there's rumors that she's hit 80 before.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah. Dude, you want to talk about GOAT? Oh my God.
Yeah,
2008 gold medalist and a 2021 gold medalist. And she was pitching. She's been pitching forever. And oh God, she's so good.
Cannot even imagine. Okay. I got a lot of things about, like, basically, do you realistically think OU can 5-peat?
I mean, like we already said, any team has the potential to win. The one thing, I'm completely an outsider to this program, but y'all did lose a bunch of leadership last year. And I don't know how much some of the returners have stepped up. I think that might be like the one thing that I would question, but I'm on the outside, so I don't actually know. Clearly they have the talent. They have players who have been there multiple times and won multiple times still. So absolutely it's possible.
I agree.
Talking to you so much, Coach Gasso does a great job. Like, the past doesn't matter, right? The past doesn't matter. So they forget about it. What happened last year is last year. What happened last weekend is last weekend. Like it's over and done with. Yeah. It's just about this game and now.
Agreed. I think they can do it. I got a lot of faith in that program. So maybe I'm biased, probably, but
you might be. You might be a little biased.
Yeah, just a little bit. Oh, I did want to talk about this. Someone said a couple of people have brought this play up in the Clemson versus Texas game. This person said, people are so soft coming for more, clapping in Atwood's face, LOL. Was going home. She had an amazing slide, like got her hand in there, was called safe, and she stood up and turned around and clapped in Reese Atwood's face. Like, and I watched, I was like, but like, I think that's fun. I mean, I don't know. Like watching it, I would never clap in somebody's face, but it's fun to watch. I like when things get a little spicy and a little heated,
Yeah.
And I think people now are saying, oh, like you're going to be clapping while they're at the World Series and you're not, that people love to banter and go back and forth about all this stuff. But I think it's kind of funny. Like in
the moment, you got to get a little sassy.
Yeah, happens. I thought it was hilarious. Just my own opinion.
Well, you're talking to somebody who would literally just like glare at batters after I struck them out, walking back to the dugout. I would just glare. People thought I would cast spells on them. Yeah. True story. Well, true story. But no, like I'm all about being sassy and being in the moment and getting excited. And I think there's a line where it like that you can cross when it comes to overdoing it, but like clapping in somebody's face, like I don't think that's it.
Yeah. I also think too, like this part of the season, like this is when you get like emotions are high, like you're playing, to go to the World Series. Sometimes that stuff just comes out, but yeah, people love to critique, especially women on the internet. Any little bit of emotion or excitement, they clock it. So I'm like, you know what? Did Clemson win? No, but like that, she probably doesn't regret doing that. I don't know. Maybe she does. Maybe she doesn't. I don't know. But it's just, I thought it was hilarious. So that was that. Someone else said in all caps, announcers not exploring different storylines within a super.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yep. It's like, okay, I've gotten a lot of things about the announcers, and I kind of, talked a little bit about the saying pitcher versus pitcher rather than team versus team.
Yeah.
But the amount of things that I've seen people say online about, and like me watching it too, I think announcers are always, for the most part, like typically pretty bad because they repeat the same thing. Oh, why are we talking about a blister for 2 innings? Why are we talking, like, I understand, like, maybe it's hard to talk for the whole game or find something to talk about, but we don't need to keep bringing up something from last inning or keep bringing up this. And in the supers, I feel like it was just extra bad this year with some of the announcers where it was like, find something new to talk about. Or like a lot of these people played softball. I'm like, give some kind of professional insight on like, oh, that ball, like maybe I would have done this, or this is probably the decision. Like, go into that. People want to hear that. They don't need to hear about the same thing that you've already said over and over and over again.
Well, and that's why they're hiring former players to do this so that they can talk about it from a knowledgeable standpoint. They should let them. Personally, when I'm watching it, I put it on mute because I've never liked the announcers. So I just put it on mute.
Honestly, a good thing to do. I have to do that too sometimes. Sometimes I'm just like, what are we saying? Mute. Who would you have preferred OU to play on Thursday? Nebraska or Tennessee? I was like, oh, Tennessee, because OU eventually lost to Bama, obviously, in this regional or super regional. Mm-hmm. And so, they lost the series to Tennessee earlier in the year. So gotta avenge that. That's something the Sooners love to do. They lose, they like to take it back. So OU has no competition. I don't think that's true.
I don't think so either.
Someone said, I wish people would stop diving into first base. What is your opinion on it?
It's slower.
It is slower. They did that a lot in the Clemson game. And I think at least me growing up when I used to hit and have to base run, right? They taught us that you dive when you see, if you catch that the first baseman is like, it's a wild throw and they're stepping off and might like go into the tag. That's what, like, they're off the bag and you dive. I saw someone else commenting and saying that diving makes it more confusing for the umpire. And I'm like, yeah, but we have replay now. So you have to slow down to do that. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, if diving were faster, sprinters would dive at the end of a sprint.
There you go.
Plain and
That's all you got to say.
It is always going to be faster.
Gabby Garcia for most outstanding player. I agree. That's all I got to say. She's goated. Riley Boone cheers more when you and Brito are there. Also, OU bats are hot. Boone, if you're hearing this, apparently you need to step up. It's Oklahoma versus the world, period. Texas still sucks. I agree. Well, someone said, who's your dark horse in the World Series?
I've always been really impressed with Oregon's speed. I think that could cause some problems, especially with the pressure that these players are under at that field at this tournament.
I just feel like it's going to be a really fun World Series to watch. Like, these aren't the normal teams. When you kind of have the same teams that are in it, like, there's is it 2 teams that are coming for the first, Ole Miss and Texas Tech are going to be making their World Series debut. Yeah. And it's just, like, I don't know. I think it's so fun. It's going to be so fun to watch. It kind of, follows the same thing of, like, anybody can win a game. Someone said Liberty was a top 4 team. I disagree. I don't think that their defense is crisp enough to be considered a top 4 team. Love how much the down ball and off speed are being thrown. Change-ups.
And a down ball. Keep the ball in the yard.
And change-ups. Yes. Because that's
the ball
something
in the yard, let the defense work. So underrated.
Yeah. I think something that people kind of don't think about or kind of skip over is with up ball, like rise ball pitchers, like, it's very high risk, high reward. If it's not spinning or someone gets on top of it, it's gone. And so those down balls, like, are very hard to hit out of the park. And I'm going to say it again, changeups, if you do not have a good changeup, or if your staff does not have a good changeup where you can't mix in off speeds and throw up a hitter's timing, you're not making it to the World Series. You look at every single one of the pitchers or pitching staffs, all of their pitchers have an off speed or some form of a changeup that they can control. They can command where they want it to go. They can get it swinging. They can get it called for a strike. You need an off speed to be successful.
Yep.
And you need to be able to sell it and have it not be picked. Someone said they wanted the storylines, they got it. Someone said strike zones with this GIF. I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so lots and lots of comments about the strike zone, umpires either squeezing the zone, but also taking over the game almost. Like a great umpire is the one that you don't even notice is there, right?
Absolutely.
So there's a couple things, the catcher getting a warning for dusting off the plate. Did you see that? What? What?
Wow.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Oh,
Wow.
I would get thrown out, honestly. If my catcher got a warning for dusting off the plate, I would get thrown out for what I would have to say.
That's
Because
unreal.
what do you mean? Like, I don't even know how an umpire can perceive that as like, yeah, warning.
Yeah, but if the
You
umpire
need a clear
can't see it
plate.
either from the pitcher.
I don't know why that happened, but that was crazy. Also, the what was it, Oregon Liberty, the leadoff, the girl picked up her foot, kind of like raised it, but then when she pushed off to like lead, that was on time, but her picking up her foot, like what are your thoughts on that? Because
to be honest,
her foot came off before, but she didn't move forward, you know?
Yeah, so I meant to go and actually reread the rule book and see how it's worded, because that's where we're going to find the answer. I think, at least in context and what umpires are there to do, and like just in the spirit of the game, I think that was a bogus call because it's not changing the outcome.
Yeah.
Right? You're not leading off early. You're not cheating. You're not, right? So, I mean, it depends on the wording.
Yeah.
But, I mean, to me, I think that that's splitting hairs.
And with like the strike zone, they're squeezing tight. And like you need to, and it's not consistent. And again, we talked about this in our last video, how to kind of deal with that. But
umpires need to, like, at this level, umpires need to bring their A game. Like, they cannot be off.
And it doesn't even be like the perfect strike zone. Consistent. You need to like be consistent with their, like with the umpire strike zone. They need to be consistent with whatever strike zone they choose. Yeah. Because going back and forth and only calling it like this,
but also like,
and
like, right, every umpire is gonna choose their zone, but again, at this level, this is not a preseason tournament. They are honed in. They've been doing this for 3.5 months. They should be on point. They should be calling a true zone through and through consistently for everybody.
Yes.
Every game. That's right. And again, spirit of the game. We're not going to squeeze the zone so that we get more home runs. We're not going to expand the zone so we get more strikeouts. It needs to be true so it's fair for everybody. And then whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. And those little, minor misses, that happens. But like
that happens.
The
Absolutely.
inconsistency from this last weekend was insane. And like you said, they've been doing, like, I understand, like, the first tournament out, the first weekend out, the umpires are a little rough too. Okay, give them some grace.
Yep.
Whatever. The week before the World Series, you don't have it figured out. I mean, even in the World Series, I feel like, even last year, I was like, okay, this is whack. But
I mean,
I think especially this year, the umpires have been very inconsistent, and I don't know if I don't know why, but it's
I don't know. I mean, in my mind, like, the conspiracy theorist is like, well, they're just trying to sell the game more, so they want more home runs.
I just don't even know.
Yeah, there's plenty of offense. There's so much offense. Like.
But it's like, you literally, as pitchers, you cannot leave it down the middle of the plate, especially at this point in the season when you're playing the top 8 teams in the country for a national championship. You cannot afford to throw it down the middle. You can't.
No.
You're either getting your shit rocked or your face, or it's going over the fence. Like, it's just, you can't. And that also, and again, you learn as a pitcher, you have to accept it and find a way to make it work. But also as a pitcher who has, everyone has bad umpires, everyone has bad games. It is so hard to push that aside and think, how am I going to attack especially if they have a good eye. If the hitter knows, like, oh, they're not even calling the corner, I'm
Yeah.
not even going to swing. When you have a hitter that does that, you're just like, where the fuck am I supposed to throw it?
That's when you call out your pitcher with a great changeup, because that's your only hope at that point.
Yeah. So it's long story short, or long story long, basically.
Yep.
Yes, I think everyone has been able to acknowledge for every team that the umpires have not been
Yeah.
doing their best work or making it about them. Like,
Yeah. They need to step it up for the World Series.
again, the best umpires are the ones that you don't even notice. Like
Mhm.
the ones where I don't know their name.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, last one that we're gonna do. Somebody said, with 5 SEC teams in the World Series, I feel like those games are going to be dogfights because of familiarity. Sorry.
There you go.
Anonymity.
Got it.
Will UCLA, Texas Tech, and Oregon have an advantage, or is scouting advanced to the point where not playing these teams prior doesn't matter?
Playing teams previously is always going to matter, because you can have a scouting report and you can know all the tendencies and all the stats and all the things, but there's always a difference seeing a hitter live and seeing a pitcher live, because you can see the spin, you can read the swing, you get a feel for them. That can never be replaced.
Mhm.
So maybe just like the absolute slightest advantage, but I don't think it's going to be enough to really make a big difference.
Yeah.
The teams
Not enough.
the top 8 teams in the country.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to have a huge leg up on anybody else at this level. Like, they're just not.
Yeah.
The level of play here is just too good.
It's a good question. Because
Great question.
I know that because I think the familiarity is a good thing and also can be a bad thing, because I think also as a pitcher, like you think about Texas and then you get to the World Series, like we're playing them so many times, like more than I can count on one hand in one season. And that is difficult because these hitters know what I throw. Like you need to change, against certain teams, you feel like you need to change your game plan. You need to switch up your look and you do something a little bit different, because once you start playing, especially throughout the 4 years, like these teams know you. They know what you throw. So I think there is a little bit, like you said, a little bit of an advantage for these teams that like, okay, I don't know necessarily what they know, but they don't know what I have either. Yes, you can watch me on film, but you've never seen me live. So
Yep.
It's kind of like, like I said, like you don't know what I have. I don't know what you have. We're just going into it. Who prepared best, right? Who's going to leave it out on the field? And again, I think the same thing still goes for those that have played each other, but it is a little bit different when it's like, wow, this is the 5th time we've played you guys this year. What are y'all going to throw at us that's different? What are we going to throw at you that's different? So I think it'll be fun, again, to see how the different teams prepare for each other. It's going to be so fun. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a great World Series. I'm really excited to watch it.
Yeah, I am very hyped.
Really excited
So,
to watch it.
that's all. I mean, this is probably the longest video we've ever done. But if we didn't get to your comment, apologies. We tried to stick with the most common kind of themes. Got a lot of comments, so thanks for that. But be on the lookout. We'll be doing another little opinion piece, I guess, for the World Series. So we'll want to get your guys' comments, questions, and hot takes again. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching.
See you next week.
Bye. Oh, bye.
Okay.
Oh my God, my back.